this showed up. If you don't know what that is, that's a lot of acoustic treatment. A lot of acoustic treatment. It was a surprise because I didn't order it. It showed up. It was a gift. Very generous gift. And ironic, I was just talking about whether or not I should paint the walls of the studio, and well, now it looks like I kind of got to. Because I figure I only want to put this up once, and I want to make it look better. You know, I got like fucking hand am I pointing with? This foam here, which it works, but you know, it's nothing compared to that stuff. Well, that's the right stuff there. But seeing as how there's so much treatment there, I may as well just paint the walls and reset up the studio. I'll show you that TV I was mentioning. So this is what I use to monitor my mix console. As you can see, beautiful mixer. It's a lot nicer to be able to sit down and have two different workstations where I can see the mix, the levels of everything, my inserts and plugins, and all my routing on one screen, while having this screen as my main monitor for the waveforms for the songs that I create. So I can leave this up while I'm recording, and if I want to know the level of something, or if I want to put a plugin on something, I don't constantly have to switch screens. I can just look up here. This is the microphone that I use to record ROT. Okay. I'll do a more in-depth tour at some point, but not today. With this acoustic treatment showing up, I thought it'd be a good time to explain to you one of the techniques that I have used to help me get my mixes sounding better. It's important to note your mix will never sound perfect. Ever. No, it won't. Ever. Nope. Whenever I was mixing Scream Therapy, I was getting really frustrated because I couldn't quite get the low end where I wanted it to be. It was either too boomy or it wasn't as clear as it should be. Every time I would listen to it on a different sound system, it would either be muddy or too thin, and it was just really, really frustrating. And it was the first album that I had produced and engineered and recorded myself, so I was getting pretty pissed off. But one trick that I learned how to do was what I called reading frequencies. Sounds confusing, right? Let me explain. So, in a room that's not treated properly with acoustic treatment, you get frequencies that build up in a room that whenever you're sitting down, you hear them, but they may not be in the mix. Conversely, a room can dampen frequencies that are in a mix that you're not hearing that may be too prevalent. An example of this would be like the 2.3 kilohertz range that are in digital guitars. Between 2.3 and 2.5-ish kilohertz, that's your digital frequency right there. Cut the shit out of that. Hate that frequency. So what I did, since the room that I was mixing Scream Therapy in was not this one, the room that I was mixing it in, it wasn't treated really at all for optimal sound, and it was frustrating. And you may have heard the advice to use reference mixes. Reference mixes can be nice because you hear a song that was professionally recorded and engineered that you think sounds nice or good or great, whatever, and you want your mix to sound similar to that, so you do what's called a reference mix, where you have that mix loaded into your DAW, be it Cubase like I use, or Pro Tools, or Ableton, or Reaper, or Logic, or Jesus, there's a shit ton of them. And whenever you're listening to your song, you go back and forth between the song that you think sounds good, that was professionally done, and your song, and you listen for the differences. Well, in a room, that still causes issues, because you're still relying on the sound waves to bounce around in that room. Regardless of how good your hearing is, realistically, you're only hearing what is bouncing around in that room, because if sound didn't vibrate, then there would be no sound. We understand? Good. So I was thinking to myself, how can I isolate the issue? How can I eliminate the room as best I can and really, really see what is going on in the music that I enjoy and the mixes that I'm creating? So I did what I call frequency reading, or you analyze the frequencies of the mix you think sounds good. And I might do more in-depth video in the future on this. I'm not sure. Maybe. So you pull up an EQ plugin on the channel that has the mix that you really like to listen to and the master out of your mix that you're creating. Make this EQ plugin completely flat. Don't move the EQ at all. But it has to be an EQ plugin that shows you the frequency of the songs. It shows you the spectrum. I'll show you a quick example. Hold the hell on. So I had my sunglasses on and I couldn't see shit. I was sitting here shaking the hell out of this mouse, wondering why it wasn't showing up on the screen. That's the mouse that runs the recording computer. Anyway, moving on. This is an EQ plugin that has... It's hard to point in the camera. That shit right there, right here. there's a button right there. It says Spectrum. This is in Cubase. This is the Studio EQ. Now, it's important to note. Let me turn this screen around so I know what the hell I'm doing. See that? Anyway, it has to be the very last plugin on your master out, on your master fader. Very last plugin. That way it's not being influenced by anything. Okay, it's completely flat. Don't boost or anything. All you want is this business. Right there, good stuff. Now you can do this with other plugins, that's fine. Vox and Go, that's a good one. I think I used that one as well whenever I was initially doing this. Let me show you how it works. Okay, now, see, it's playing. Again, I can't fucking point in this thing. There, I was definitely not born to be a weatherman. See, it's playing here. You can see the volume. I have the amp turned off because if it was playing... Okay, 2 tutorials in one. Now that we got that one out of the way, I have the music turned off. It's playing again. See? Fucking horseshit. Playing. Volume. Up and down. Oh, that's good. That's good. That's a signal right there. Now, if you notice, there's nothing going on here. Blank slate. No man's land. Don't like that. If we want to read the frequency of the music that you're listening to, come over here, click on the spectrum button. Now, look, oh, looky there. Oh, that's nice. That's real nice. Oh, yeah. You see that? This is the frequency chart of what's currently being played, which is so low. Off of Rot. Now you can do this with a song that you really enjoy listening to that you think sounds great. You can pull up an EQ plugin that has a spectrum like this and you can mute it, whatever you want to do, and just read the frequencies and read the decibels that each frequency is being played at. And so you can study this and say, okay, here, just below 100 hertz, that would be about 80 hertz. That'd be where the bass guitar would sit. Now you see this, there's a lot more movement here than there is over here, so that would be my kick that's sitting around 60 hertz and then down into 40 where I have my sub. The sub kick, and some people know what that is. But you see this dip right here, that's around the 300 area. Now I noticed whenever listening to songs that I thought sounded great, and I was wondering, why do mine sound like shit? Whenever I would pull up songs like Korn or Nothing More, their song Ballast. That's a great one to do this to because it's a very, very clean and clear song. Look at the frequencies and see how high they are. In most professional songs, you'll notice have a dip in about 300 hertz because that's where that mud lives, that lack of clarity. So it's good to do small cuts or a large, very, very narrow Q cut there. Clean up the mix, and then you can see your high end. You can see if there's any frequencies that are really sticking out, which this looks pretty level here. There's a couple still sticking out. But if there were some that were really trouble frequencies, you know, they could peak up here and they're at about 12 decibels or so. Also, a common mistake that people make, they want their songs to have a lot of low end, a lot of punch, a lot of boom. That's nice. But by doing so, you're turning up the low end too much. Speakers can only put out what they're capable of putting out, and most speakers can't put out the really, really sub lows that you're trying to boost. Not to mention the human ear can't even hear much of that below 40 hertz or so. So, oh, song's done. If you notice your professional mixes, they'll have a dip that goes down after about 50 to 40 hertz, and there's not much information going on over there. Nice little tip and trick for your mixing purposes. So hopefully that helps some of you as far as getting a little bit more of a clear mix or a better understanding of where your song sits relative to the songs that you really enjoy to listen to. Read the frequencies. See with your eyes what the song is actually doing. There's a thing where people say trust your ears, and that's true too. If you listen to something like, man, that sounds like shit, probably sounds like shit, but don't just listen to it in one room and say, it sounds horrible or that sounds good. Pull it up on something like that and look at your frequencies. Look at what's going on in the mix that you can't hear with your ears due to a bad room or due to hearing damage, which a lot of musicians have because we listen to music too loud and we can't perceive what's really going on. Maybe that'll help you. Maybe not. I don't know. I hope everybody has a great holiday. If you don't celebrate the holidays, then have a good weekend, whatever. I'm going to be a little bit away from the social media stuff for the next few days, try to spend time with family, and I'm gonna upload another video that kind of touches base on a lot of that, and it's time to retie the tie, and I'll tell the story behind all that. I do put comedy in these videos, slog, and that's my natural personality. There will be another video I might upload today also. It won't have the same comedy that these have. It'll be a little more serious. So if you don't want to watch that, that's fine. Skip right over it. But it's a video I think I should make. Hope you enjoyed this one. Hopefully you can get some help from that frequency reading thing. And if you have any questions about it, leave them in the comments. Happy holidays, and we'll see you soon. My light bulb burned out in my studio the other day. I had to put a brand new light bulb in. I think it's too bright. Is it too bright? I don't know. Do I look too bright? I think I'm yellow. This is yellow.